if you're like me, who has been thinking that having a US immigrant visa interview is going to be in an office where you sit down and have conversation like table to table, that was my expectation. Honestly was thinking that the officer was actually checking our papers again to let us into the door to go in for the interview. I did not know that was the actual interview. Honestly, I thought she wanted to just check our paperwork and then ask us to go in. So when I realized that it was the actual interview, I just smiled. She said, "Oh, this is the end of your interview. I have no concerns from me. You've been successful in your interview. We'll keep your passports, and then when it's ready, we'll send it off." Wow. Yay. If you're watching this video, chances are that I have already relocated to the United States of America with my family to start a new journey after spending over 3 years in the United Kingdom. In today's video, I'll be telling you about how we were successful in our first attempt and application at the US immigrant visa interview. Hi everyone, it's Ucheago here. If you're new to my channel, you're welcome. Please do not make it your last time because you definitely love it here. On this channel, I share information that help nurses. I share immigration updates. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much and you're highly welcome again. In today's video, like I already mentioned, I'll be telling you how we were successful at our US immigrant visa interview. So if this is what is going to interest you, please give this video a thumbs up and you will find it valuable. Without wasting much of your time, let's dive into it. Now, you have received your immigrant visa interview in your email and you're excited. For me, I started this USA journey in December 2019. That was when I started my CGFNS application process, and then it lingered and on and on and on. However, the journey came to an end in 2024. Yes. So I woke up in the middle of the night on a Saturday and I saw an email from the US NBC or US Embassy inviting I and my family members for our immigrant visa interview, and it was like a dream come true. You have received this email inviting you for a US immigrant visa. Here are the things that you should do. I'm going to be reading out what the National Visa Center email contained. I'll tell you what to do before you attend this interview, what to expect during the interview, and when I receive my visa, then I'll tell you what to expect after the interview. So let's dive into it, okay? So when I received the email, it stated there, it had the name of my immigrant lawyer. The National Visa Center has completed the processing of the immigrant visa application, has scheduled the visa interview at the US Embassy Consulate in London, Great Britain and Northern Ireland for processing. So I'm just going to skip some parts. It says what to do if you cannot attend the interview. There's a link on what to do if you cannot attend the interview. And there were a few reminders. It says that you should read and follow all the interview instructions located with a link. Bring this letter to your medical examinations for the panel physicians to review. Your sponsor, which is your petitioner, it could be a household member, it could be the joint sponsor, may be required to provide updated or additional information that you present at the interview, and other income, assets, and proof of your current employment. So this letter came as an attachment to it. So once you receive this email, what you need to do is to register that interview appointment. So when you click the link provided, you need to register your interview appointment. And register your interview appointment is simply by clicking the link provided by the National Visa Center and input your name, your date of birth, your case number, and the location. There will be other information to input. For me, as a family of 5, I had to do that for every member of my family, and then submitted. Once you're done submitting, you will then receive another email confirming that your appointment slot has been booked. So it's important for you to fill in and register your appointment prior to that day. If you do not do that, then you're not confirming that appointment. So our appointment was scheduled for 10 a.m. So I just filled in that form, online and submitted. Then I got the email confirming that appointment. The next thing you need to do is to select the mode of receiving your visa back and your passport. So your stamped passport back. So for me, I don't live in London and I don't live in Manchester. Those were the locations where you can literally just walk in and pick up your passports with the visa stamps. So there is a fee for you to have that delivered at your home address. So you would find all those information on the website. So you will find the information. If you need to pick up, select that you pick up. There is no fee attached. You just literally go there, prove your identity, and then pick up. So for me, I think we paid over £100 for it to be delivered for the family of 5, for the 5 of us. So that is what to do. Another thing for you to do before your interview is to call the medical center which is approved for US immigration purpose. So for my location, the United Kingdom, the Visa Medicals is located in London, and I think that's the only location where they have Visa Medicals. That is the approved one for that is accepted by the US office or the US embassy. So make sure that you're going for your medicals in an approved US embassy Visa Medical Center, if that makes sense. So I called Visa Medicals in London. They asked me for my case number. I provided my case number and they gave me available dates. Ideally, you should have your visa medicals scheduled at least 2 weeks before your actual interview date. This is to allow the medicals, give them time to process your medical results and send it back to the US embassy. So we booked, and on the day of your medicals, you're going to pay an amount of money, which I have already discussed in a previous video. I'll put that in the description as well. So booking your medicals is part of the preparations that you need to do. And once you've booked your medicals, you've confirmed your appointments, you've selected the location you want this to be returned, your passport to be returned. The next thing you need to do is to check if every member of your family has been filed for. So I had a baby after I had my initial immigrant visa application or petition, or after my DS260 I-140 confirmation, and I was already current. So what I did was to add my baby to that application, because if I do not add her, or if you do not add the new member of the family, then they won't be accepted for medicals, number one, and they won't be able to have their visa interviews done. So if you've had a baby after your immigrant visa filing, then you need to add your baby to your DS260. Some people added the baby to their DS260 on the day of the interview. However, it is important for you to do this prior to your interview. This will save you a lot of time filling it. So what I did to add my baby to my DS260 and embassy visa interview was to get the email address of the US embassy in London. I sent them an email. Apparently, when I saw the link, I clicked on it and it brought a prompt that I should put what my concern was. So I filled in what my concern was and sent it. I got an email, but I couldn't reply to that email. Then after a few days, I got another email asking me to send my proof of identity, my passports, my case number, and some other information, as well as the baby's birth certificate and her passport page. So I sent that across, and then a few days again, I got an email stating that my DS260 has now been opened and I can add the baby to it and also make changes where necessary. So log into DS260 online and add applicants, add another applicant. So add the baby, add all the necessary information, and then because there is a new member of the family, you need to also update the mother and the father's application. So the update, the only different thing I did was to add that I had 3 children and add the name of my 3rd child to the application, and then I saved it. I saved it, completed the application, and I got an email with her DS260 form. So that was done prior to the interview. However, the payment for the DS260 was done on the day of the interview. So those are the things to do before your US immigrant visa interview. Now, when you have completed this and you've done your medicals, still before your visa interview or immigrant visa interview, you need to gather all your documents together and make sure they are original. Have your originals and have photocopies of the originals as well. So I'll be running you through what it was before we got to the actual interview and what my expectations were and what I saw. Okay, so we had the interview for 10 a.m. We boarded the train and got there 30 minutes before time. So we were just admiring the building and it was really beautiful to see. There was waterfalls around. We took some couple of pictures and then we went straight to the building. When we headed to the building, there was an arrow redirecting us to keep going further down if you were there for a visa interview. So we went further down. We saw a long queue and then we joined the queue. When it got to our turn, the consulate there asked me for my DS260 form. In fact, he actually said DS160 and I said what I had was DS260 and said, okay, give me one of the forms because we were 5 and one of the passports. So I gave him mine as the primary applicant. He went through it, confirming our appointment date, confirming our appointment time. After our DS260 and passports was confirmed at this stage, which is the main entrance, we met with another officer at the front door that asked if I had a phone or a laptop. That reminds me, you cannot enter that building with your laptop, so do not bother carrying a laptop for your immigrant visa interview. Do not bother carrying a laptop because you will not be able to go in there with your laptop and you will not have anybody to give it. Anyway, I didn't have a laptop there, so he asked, did I have a mobile phone? I said yes. He said, can I see your phone please? And I showed him my phone and he said, can you please open one of the apps on your phone for me to see? And then I just opened one of the apps. The reason behind this, I'm not sure. So if you know, let me know in the comment section because I was wondering why they needed to see an app on my phone and an app on my husband's phone, which I think is what they do for every other person. So when we finished this set, we went in and then we had a full body scan. The full body scan, if you have any metal device on your body, whether your wristwatch, whether your belt, anything that detects metal, you need to take them off and put it in a bowl for them to scan it, and then you can proceed when it's scanned. Okay, so when we finish this stage, in fact, the doors on those places, they are so hard to push. I think they are well bulletproofed, so they are so hard to push. It was just like show real for us, honestly. So when we finished the full body scan, we went to the reception. All of these things were not even happening at the reception. They were happening at the main entrance. We went to the reception. There was another queue. We queued up. I went further on and spoke to the officer for the pre-screening. They asked for our passports and their 260 page. I gave that to her. She confirmed our time. And then so she gave me a form, a small paper that had the door, the window number, and where I'm supposed to be because it was an immigrant visa. Okay, so what my findings were that people who came for the non-immigrant visa were more. So they had like a particular place where they stayed alone, and then people who were there for the immigrant visa were a bit less, and then they had a different area entirely. So we got there, sat down close to the window where we've been asked to sit down, and then we waited for our turn. When it got to our turn, the officer asked me for the originals of the documents and he took it per individual. So for me, he asked me for my original passport, original birth certificate, original marriage certificate. He asked for the DS260 form. He asked me for my original visa screen certificate. I gave that to him. He asked me for my police clearance certificate. I gave him the UK police clearance certificate and I gave him the Nigerian police clearance certificate. I left Nigeria 3 years ago and I was giving him the printed version of the police clearance certificate. He said, oh, where's the original? I said this was an online application. They emailed me. However, when I printed it, it came out as white and black. So he took that from me as well. And he asked me for my notarized letter. So a notarized letter is a letter that will be given to you by your employer confirming your employment. And then I gave that to him because I already printed that as well. On the letter, it stated that they should please accept the printout because they are not able to send me the original version. So he went through that, went through my husband's originals, gave him my children's originals, and we were asked to go to the next window and make payments for the baby. So I made a payment of, well, I think $325. If that is wrong, I'm going to put on the screen how much I made payment for adding the baby to the DS260. So after the payments, we sat down again, and we were, at this point, we were waiting for the actual interview. If you're like me, who has been thinking that having a US immigrant visa interview is going to be in an office where you sit down and have conversation like table to table, that was my expectation, honestly. So at some point we saw our number P20 to go to window this. Then we got there. I honestly was thinking that the officer was actually checking our papers again to let us into the door to go in for the interview. I did not know that was the actual interview, honestly. I didn't know that was the actual interview. I forgot to mention, at the first window where we went to, after submitting all our original documents, we were asked to have our fingerprints done. So we had the fingerprints, and then for the children, because they are still kids, they didn't have fingerprints done. However, I think we raised our hand to confirm or consent for them to go ahead, something like that. So standing in the next window where I was talking about where I didn't know that was the actual visa interview, honestly, I thought she wanted to just check our paperwork and then ask us to go in. So when I realized that it was the actual interview, I just smiled because I was already expecting that, okay, during the interview, you will be asked where you're going to work and all of those questions. So when she checked the paperwork, asked us to do our fingerprints, and then asked us to raise our hands to confirm that we were the ones, she then said, do you know where you'll be going to in the US? I said yes, and told her. She said, do you know where would you be working? I told her. That was when it was done on me, truly, that was the actual visa interview. The good thing is that if I knew that was the actual interview, I would have been a little, the normal anxiety, but I was just relaxed waiting for her to finish and then we'll go in. I didn't know that was the actual interview. So we were standing. It was just a window in between us and a speaker where we could hear her. So she asked, did I pay any money for me to get the job? I said no. Would you be expected to pay any money when you arrive in the US to be able to work? I said no. She said, how did I find my employer? I told her I found my employer through the agency, and I told her the name of the agency. And then she said, has any of us been married before? We said no. Have we been in any marriages before? We said no. She said, okay, you got married in 2015. I said yes. And you've been married? She said, how many years? 9 years. I said yes. And she said, well, you have 3 children. I said yes. Apparently, we carried our marriage, our wedding album as well, in case. This is typically the expectation versus what we met. Okay, so there's a saying that is important. It's better for you to carry every document, every evidence that you need, and then you end up not needing it, than not having them at all, and then you're at the point where you will need it. Okay, so that was not asked. That was not asked. All of these I have said were the things that was asked during the interview. There were more questions that we were expecting to be asked, and I'll tell you when I'm done with this, I'll tell you from the phone more questions that I expected that will be asked. Okay, so she said, oh, this is the end of your interview. I have no concerns from me. You've been successful in your interview. We'll keep your passports, and then when it's ready, we'll send it off. Wow, wow, wow. Yay. Okay, so my husband's passport was going to expire in about 3 months because the same day we had the interview was the same day he had booked for his passport's capturing since few months ago. So I just said to her, I said, please, my husband has his passport capturing today, we would send it within a week. And then she said that's okay. She gave me back my husband's passport and said we would receive an email to tell us how to send his passport back. So later that day, I received an email with instructions where to send the passport back, on which courier to use to send the passport back free of charge. So that was how we were done with the interview, and we left gloriously. Honestly, we are so thankful to God for bringing it to pass. So other questions were what we expected from people's experience. Is that someone asked me to print my NCLEX pass letter. I printed my NCLEX pass letter from the Pearson View website. However, I was not asked that, but I was asked for my visa screen certificate, which I submitted. So the other expectations we had was how long we've been working as a nurse. I wasn't asked that, but it's part of the questions that people are being asked. Another question you'll be asked might be your salary. So it's important for you to know how much you will be paid. So there's a part that says that you should state the amounts listed in your 1989 contract. However, when you receive your notarized letter from your employer, the annual salary you'll be paid will be listed in your notarized letter. So please list that salary to the officer when asked. So another question that we expected to be asked from people's experience or from my immigrant lawyer was that which school did you graduate from? What year did you graduate? Who is your petitioner? How did you learn about your employer? Your number of years of experience, your salary. So some could be your marital status, whether you have children, your date of birth, and if your family will be relocating to the US with you at that time. Those are the questions that I expected during the immigrant visa interview. And finally, we'll be getting a green card. I've been informed by my manager that once I receive my visa, then I need to proceed to pay for the green card. So I'll keep you updated on how much it costs and all of that. Apparently this video has taken a long time for me to edit and post. I made that video when I was in the UK. So after your immigrant visa interview, when you receive your passport back, there'll be a letter in that folder. In that letter, it will tell you to pay for your green card. So you would have a sealed envelope written in red, do not open. Please do not open that envelope. That envelope is to be handed over to the customs service on your day of arrival into the US. At your port of entry, you're going to hand them over that folder. I think it's like your medicals and most documents that you submitted to US Embassy. And then you would need to pay for your green card. When that arrives, or when your visa arrives back home, if you've applied individually or if you applied as a family, you will need to pay for green card for every member of your family. You just go to the website on that letter and then follow the prompt and pay for your green card. The green card is over $200. I think it's about $265 as of when we paid. So once you've paid for your green card, you would book your flight and arrive the US. Now, I mentioned that my children did not have a fingerprint done. For them, their green cards did not arrive. They needed to go to a USCIS office here in the US for their biometrics. So my children are aged 8 and 6. So I took them last week for their USCIS biometrics. In that biometrics, they're going to confirm those details you've submitted. And my children had to write their names. It's more like signing. If they can't write their names, their parents can actually sign on their behalf or write their names for them. So that was it. We are currently awaiting their green cards to arrive. For my little baby who is a year old, I'm currently awaiting a decision from USCIS if she would need biometrics or if they would issue a green card for her. So I just thought to share because I didn't have most of this information I just took them one step at a time. So I have compiled all the details so that it makes it easy for anyone who will be wondering what next to do or how to go about it. And also, when you receive your green card, you will need to update your address on the USCIS website. You're not alone in the journey. I would say thank you for watching this video to the very end. Thank you so much. I remain your girl, Uche Agor, and see you in my next video. Don't forget to subscribe. See you in my next video. Bye.